Hey guys, today I'm going to show you this makeup look here, but to start with, it wasn't going too well. This is the foundation shade that I got and it was so light, but don't panic, I'm going to show you how to make it work. So this is the makeup look. It's another one on how to enhance your natural features without a ton of makeup. It's almost like a very soft glam. We've gone for brown mascara and brown false eyelashes to just accentuate the eyes but without making them look over the top. So let's get on with today's tutorial. I'm starting with the Lisa Eldridge Elevated Glow in the shade Crystal Nebula. You'll often see me apply this underneath my foundation, especially around the area that we get a lot of smile lines, because it has this ingredient that works like a mesh on the skin to tighten the skin. It also works as a glow from within finish underneath your foundation. You can certainly apply this over the top of, but I feel like it works really beautifully underneath. We don't always apply eyeshadow as far up as the brow bone, so definitely take it on that area. I'm going to prime the skin. I'm using a new foundation today, so I'm going to use the Tatcha Liquid Silk Canvas Primer. This is more like a cream rather than having that silica feel. I often get a lot of questions about my melasma and how my pigmentation has disappeared. I've been using the Skin and Me treatment since 2021. You can see in these before and after pictures how well it's worked. I do pay for this myself and I have a personal code that you guys can use if you want to get 2 months for free. And I'll link that all in the description bar for you. So this is the foundation I'm using today. It's the KVD Good Apple Serum Foundation. Would you believe that this is medium 27? It's a neutral undertone, but it's definitely not in the medium category. This is, for me, it's definitely in the light category. It's not super light for my skin, but it is full coverage, therefore it makes it look extremely fair next to my slightly redder toned skin. Honestly, it was so funny. In the flesh, it looks even more pale. If this happens to you, don't panic. The best thing you can do is really start to sheer it out on the skin. For me, it's quite a drying foundation. I don't think if you're of a dry skin type that you will like this at all. Therefore, if you do want to try it, because it is a serum-based foundation, it's supposed to be a little bit more forgiving for dry skins, mix some of this with a drop of face oil and it will sheer it out a little bit, but it will also make it much more wearable for dry skin types. So as you can see, I'm shearing this out as best as I can, which means just to stretch that foundation over the rest of the face. It now doesn't look quite as bad. It is still definitely a shade too light for my skin. So we're now going to go and warm up the skin. I'm going to use my favourite contour stick. This is kind of like a bronze contour in one. This is by Sosu Cosmetics. Now I don't want to be quite as shy as I normally would be when using this product today, because we do need to warm that skin back up. You'll see when I start to blend it in, it almost adds the warmth back in that my chest has that my face is now lacking. I'm dampening the bristles of my blending brush because this will help to blend that in, because the foundation is quite dry and it almost sets in place. You can see I've not needed to powder at all yet and it's not super shiny. So I just need something with a little bit more slip in order to blend this out better. However, if you do apply this foundation, if you're more like a normal to dry skin type and you add that little bit of oil in, this won't necessarily be a problem for you. So if you do buy a foundation that is too light for you, don't panic too much. As long as it either matches your undertone or it's on a neutral level, so you don't buy one that's too pink if you're yellow or too yellow if you're pink, then it's salvageable for sure. If your foundation is too dark, I will do a video on this. You can use adjusters to change your foundation shade. But in the interim, if you don't have adjusters, this is a great way to work with what you've got. If you missed last week's tutorial on how to pick the right foundation shade for you when you are buying online and you've got no idea where to start, I did an in-depth video on the formula on how to pick the right shade for you. I will link that on screen for you now. And in case you're wondering how I've ended up with the wrong shade today, it's because this one was gifted to me, and often that is just chosen by the person who's picking the foundations at the time. Have you guys found this with the KVD line? Because I know they have so many foundation shades. I feel like their medium category is much more extensive than a lot of other brands. Therefore, if you are light in one brand, you might actually be in the medium category of KVD. So as you can see, that is really warmed up the circumference of my face now, so that the lightest section is the center of the face, which is where you would ordinarily apply a little bit of concealer for the brightening effect. And we've now achieved that with just the foundation, and instead we've warmed up the circumference of the face with the cream bronzer. I like to take my hair down so I can get an idea of how my face is looking against my skin and my hair. You can see the perimeter matches my chest, which is great, and I'm going to see how it looks once I've done my eye makeup. But overall so far it's looking so much better. For the eyes today, I'm using this neutral 42 colour palette by Beauty Bay. It has the most incredible shades, it has a mix of finishes, and I feel like for £25 this is a bargain. I'm using a mix of these neutral matte shades here, and I'm going to start with the BK Beauty 203 brush. If you want to try these brushes for yourself, I have a 10% discount code. I've been loving them ever since I received them. The first shade I'm taking over most of the mobile lid is the shade Twig, which is a beige matte tone. You want a shade that just neutralises, that is slightly lighter than your skin tone. Next to that, we're going to take the shade Pancake, which is a cool matte brown. It has a kind of peachy vibe on my skin, which I really love. And this is going on the outer half of the mobile lid, and then we're going to feather that across to the centre where it meets the Twig shade. If your skin tone is slightly lighter than mine, you could start with Bone, which is a creamy matte. If you're slightly deeper in skin tone, then Petal or Dusk would be a really nice shade. Because the palette has an extensive amount of different colours, you can just adjust them according to your skin tone. On the very outer corner and in a bit of a V shape, I'm using the shade Cookie, which is a dusty matte brown. And on my tapered duo blending brush by MAC, which is the 286S, I'm blending that through the socket as well. So I'm looking down into a mirror slightly, so it goes just above the Twig shade that we've got on the mobile lid. If you're fairer in skin tone, you could use Canyon, which is a neutral matte brown. And if you're deeper, then you could use the shade Pecan, which is a chocolate matte brown. As usual, I will list and link the brushes as well as the palette in the description bar. Beauty Bay does ship globally, so even if you're in the US or around the world, you can try these products for yourself. Once you're finished with the blending, we're going to take a pointed brush. This one is by Anastasia Beverly Hills, and we're going to take a dark brown and use this as an eyeliner. I'm starting with the shade Leather, which is an oak brown. It's definitely better to start with a lighter shade so you can get the shape that you're happy with. Blend it in to the colours that we've already got on the lid so it's really soft, and then we can go in with a slightly deeper shade and then we can trace over that. Therefore, if you don't like the shade or you've got it wrong, it's easier for you to blend away. The key when creating a soft eyeliner is to work in very light layers and just take your time with it. If you've got slightly hooded eyes or small lids, you can keep it here at the very outer corner. If, like me, you've got a bit more space, you can use the pointed end of the brush to pull that eyeshadow out and create a wing. Now I've got a rough outline, I'm going in with Cowboy, which is a dark matte brown, and a little bit of Sepia, which is a cool toned deep brown, and I'm going back over that shape to make it more defined. We are going to soften it in a little while, but we want to make sure we've got that shape. This is what I really like with working with eyeshadow, is because it's easy to blend out and make it look very soft, especially for daytime. So I'm using the very tip of that brush to line right to the very inner corner, but keeping it super close to the root of the eyelashes, so it's very thin and thicker on the outer edge. Then I'm going back in with my 203 brush, which has residue of the shades that we've got on the lid, and buffing that over the top to soften that brown. And you can do this even with hooded eyes. Sometimes an eyeshadow is better than using a pencil because you're not going to get any transfer in, and also sometimes if you use a liquid eyeliner you can get into a bit of a mess, or it can be a bit overwhelming, whereas you can stick to using the lighter browns even for a little bit of definition and it won't overwhelm your eyes. So I'm going to repeat the same process on the other eye. Make sure that you're looking directly into a mirror when doing this to try and get the wing at the same angle on both your eyes. If you need to look down into a mirror, just keep making sure that you do look upright so that you can make sure that the trajectory is the same. I'm taking a small crease brush and I'm dipping that into a little bit of sepia on its own, and this is going on the outer half of the socket line. If you're keeping your eyes quite rounded, do so. I've got mine in a bit of a wing shape, so I'm going to create a bit more of a wing, and I'm going to keep the majority of that on the outer edge and then buff what's left on the bristles through the socket. This is just going to add a bit more of an almond shape to my eyes. As I mentioned before, you want to do this in very light layers. You can easily apply too much product, so make sure you tap off all the excess powder from your bristles before you go in. Even buff a little bit on the back of your hand first. I'm going to apply some brown eyeliner by MAC. This is in the shade Coffee, but you can also use Costa Riche, and this is going most of the way along my waterline, but I'm not going to apply any lower mascara. I really love this look for the eyes. It doesn't make them look spidery. I decided for all of this look to stick with browns, brown eyeliner, brown mascara, brown lashes, because it just is so much more forgiving for any age group. It's a much more softer glam. Even though we aren't applying any mascara, we do want to soften the look of the eyeliner by framing the eyes underneath our lower lashes. We're keeping this really close to the root and again working in a very light layer. Softness for the win here, so apply the tiniest amount using that small pointed brush because it will get very close to the root. We're going to be applying ribbon lashes which apply on the underside of your natural lash, so give them a good curl because you want them to stand up. If your lashes are standing up, the falsies will also get some elevation. The mascara I'm going to use today is this one by Eyeshadow. It's the Black Magic Cocoa Edition, which is the brown shade. It's not my favourite mascara wand, but I do love the mascara itself. I love the colour. Again, great for all age groups, whether you are 18 or 80. Brown is the best colour for everybody. Don't get me wrong, black is so sexy, but sometimes we just want something a little bit softer. The lashes I'm going to use today are by Lash Base. These are the Pro Effects. They now come in a dark brown. I will link on screen my tutorial on how to use these. Don't forget to use my discount code if you want to try them. The dark brown are a new fantastic addition. They also come in some other colours like blue, purple and pink, which are great for festivals or summer parties. But these dark brown ones are fantastic for every day. I'm using a mix of medium and large. I start with medium on the very outer corner. Then I use about 3 large going up towards the centre, just past the centre using large. Then I go back to medium. I use about 6 in total, so 3 medium, 3 large, but they also come in extra small, small, medium, large and extra large. When you get used to applying these, it takes no time at all. I'm using some duo glue because I'm taking them off at the end of the day, but Lash Base sell a glue where you can use these for up to 7 days. I'm just taking some eyelash curlers and giving the outer ones a little pinch for an extra added lift. I love this and they stay in place all day and it really just gives your eyes a much more opened finish. I have another tutorial which you guys might want to see, which is on how to use that particular eyelash curler, and I've linked it in the description bar if you guys want to purchase it for yourself. Well done to Lash Base for creating one of the best eyelashes. I love these. Okay, so moving back onto the skin, this is a new product from LH Cosmetics. These are their luminous bronzers. There's 2 shades available. I'm going to use this huge brush by Refa. This is one of my favourites for really bronzing the skin. We want something that really covers a lot of surface area because we want to warm up that foundation. Going back to the bronzers, out of the 2 shades is a slightly cooler shade and a warmer shade. I always opt for the slightly cooler shade. Having just looked on Beauty Bay, I can see that this actually comes in 4 shades. Beyond is the slightly cooler one out of the 2 that I have, and Endless was the warmer one which was on top. Although this covers more surface area, it's not applying quite as much product because I've really tapped off the excess, so it's made light work of the bronzing, and because it is a luminous bronzer, it does give a beautiful sheen to the skin. I'm going in with one of my other new favourite products. This is Ciate London's Glow 2 Blush, and this is an illuminating blush highlighter hybrid. And I'm using the shade Doll Face, which is this beautiful pink, and I'm popping that on with a duo fibre brush from Sephora. I'm pressing this onto the apple of the cheek and pulling the colour backwards, and as you can see, it gives the most beautiful sheen to the cheeks. You want to go back in with your beauty blender just through the centre of the face to press everything in and make sure that it's just nice and seamless. I'm taking this Dance Dreamer lipstick by Diego Della Palma, and it's beautiful. It's one of my absolute favourites. It's really kind of soft, peachy, almost like skin, but just with a bit of a punchier finish to it. This is a great way to enhance your features, but without making it look like you're wearing a ton of makeup. And that completes my makeup tutorial on how to work with a foundation shade that's too light for your skin. Also how to enhance your features using browns for a softer glam finish. Remember, you can shop this look in the description bar. You can also go over to my Shop My Shelf, which has all my recommendations, and you can shop different categories and different looks there. So I hope you guys enjoyed it. Please subscribe if you are new to my channel. Don't forget you can follow me outside of YouTube over on Instagram, where I'm most active. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you tomorrow with a shawl and on Thursday with another look. Bye guys!